Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Sally, and here's her story. Hi, Ollie. My husband John and I are in our early 50s and have been together for 12 years, married for 10. I'm his second wife. He was previously married for 20 years to the first girlfriend he ever had. They met as teenagers. During his first marriage, my husband's narc wife and his narc mother never got along. There were a lot of fights, and eventually his wife insisted that John go no contact with his parents. 3 children were also forbidden to see their grandparents. My husband didn't see his parents for about 10 years. His wife was emotionally and physically violent and taught their kids to have no respect for their father. Of course, it all goes on behind closed doors. She's actually a school teacher. I'm sure you're not surprised. By the time John was 40, he was a mess on antidepressants and suicidal. He knew nothing about narcissism and thought the problem was with him. He was seeing a psychiatrist at the hospital who was completely useless. He never told John to leave his abusive wife, but was actually recommending electric shock therapy. In desperation, John contacted his parents and asked for help, thus breaking years of no contact. He explained that his wife had told him he had to choose between her and them, and he had chosen his wife and 3 children as he couldn't bear to be away from his kids. This is surrender to his parents. This isn't a good idea either. I don't know. I mean, just because one narcissist forces you to drop the other narcissist doesn't mean you go, when you drop the first narcissist, you go running back to the second. Or when you drop the second narcissist, you don't go running back to the first. John's parents were understanding and happy to have him back. Of course, because there were obvious reasons he was able to go. He went no contact to begin with them, right? He went back giving them everything they needed. All the blame wasn't about you guys. It was about her and her evil. And so he gave them the door. He gave them the opening to kick in the door. So let's see how this turned out. John's parents were understanding and happy to have him back. They financially assisted him to get into an apartment and separate from the wife. As soon as he wasn't living with her, his mental health improved immediately. He began online dating, and that's when we met and have been together ever since. I grew up with a violent, abusive narc father who trained my siblings to hate me. My parents are both dead now, and I have 2 sisters and a brother that I haven't seen for years. One of them I know where she lives. The other I have no idea. I couldn't maintain a relationship with them as adults because they condoned my father's abuse of me. He cut me out of his will and left everything to my siblings. So I know all about being the scapegoat in the family. I was able to teach John about narcissism, although at the time I didn't know the word for it. This was 2006 and we didn't have YouTube, but I had read a lot of self-help books, and I knew a lot about abuse in families. I'd been to many counselors over the years about my own problems, and in general, they just hurt me more. Some of them are narcs themselves. Others live in a fantasy world where everyone is just going to forgive everyone and have a group hug and life will be wonderful. Most therapists' understanding of narcissistic abuse is 0. John and his wife legally divorced, and he believed he could have a happy life with me while still remaining a loving father to his 3 children. I was excited about being a stepmother and looking forward to getting to know them. They were all still in high school at the time. Well, of course, there was no way the narc mother was going to allow that. Basically, she did the same thing with the kids that she'd done with John and his parents. She told them to choose her or their father, and they chose her. They stopped coming for visits and ignored texts, emails, and calls. It was a gradual process and would take way too long to explain here, but anyone who's been alienated from their child or children will understand, including you, Ollie. Yep, it's gradual, it's slow, and you don't even realize it's happening. And one day they're just gone. You've given up, they've given up. And that's where you're at. The fact that it happened when they were in high school, though, that's even more hurtful. You can understand a small child be manipulating, but teenagers and all that, high school kids, it seems even more cruel. Well, I know it's even more cruel because my daughter's 15. It's just, I know she has an understanding of all this now. She makes a choice just like the narcissist does, just like his kids did. John was absolutely heartbroken, desperate to keep a relationship with his children. He set up a meeting with the school counselor at his children's school to ask for help with the situation. This woman was cold and unhelpful. We later found out she had been befriended by his ex and had been told the usual lies about John, that the kids don't want to see him because they were afraid of him, etc., etc. The smear campaign had begun. John tried to get help from the family doctor who had known all the kids since they were born. He was told the kids were doing fine and there's nothing to worry about. He went to a local community mediation center who tried to set up a meeting with the ex to discuss getting regular schedule for the kids to visit. She refused to attend. This is what's allowed to happen. This is what's allowed to happen. Our last resort was to go to court, and as you know, Ollie, spending huge amounts of money on lawyers doesn't guarantee success. The narc's mind control is so powerful that the children, who were all over the age of 12, would say they didn't want to visit their dad, and there was no point in going down that road. Meanwhile, John was paying huge amounts of money in child support. You'd be amazed if you knew the amount of money he paid over the years for children who were no longer speaking to him. Oh, no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. They want 100% of your money and 0% of your time. And if you don't pay and you can't pay, well, they take everything from you. And then they make it impossible for you to ever to get out of it. Virtually impossible. We were living in a tiny one-bedroom apartment with just the basics, while his ex and her new partner were living in John's kids in a huge mansion with a swimming pool, driving new cars, and taking luxury holidays on my husband's monthly payments. Ollie, recently in a video you were talking about the refugee situation and all the lies about kids being separated from their parents. You said, I've lost a daughter and no one seems to care. Well, my husband lost 2 daughters and a son, and I can promise you, nobody gives a damn. This is the part that hurts the most. I understand that a narc mother is going to alienate her children from their father. It happens every day. I understand that she's a school teacher, and outsiders see her as a lovely woman and a wonderful mother. But what I can't accept is that John's parents and his 3 siblings were all in their 40s at the time, would join forces with this evil witch and cast John out from the family. This is why you never go back. I knew this wasn't going to end well with his family. That's why I said, let's see. It's the same story. You know, we got the same fucking parents, me and John. My parents did nothing but shit talk my ex-wife for the 14 years I was with her. And now they support her fucking bullshit. Not that she needs the support, because the bitch makes over $100,000 a year. You don't go. You don't break. No matter how desperate you are. He would have been better off figuring it out. Of course they did. Of course they support the ex-wife now. Of course they do. See, by giving them the excuse that it's her, they now have the opportunity to go back to her and say, John said all this, and then she turns it back around, which is what they fucking wanted to do anyway. It shocks me to this day, and I can't seem to get over it, which is why I'm writing to you. I'm sure it shocks you. I guarantee you, you know who it doesn't shock? John. Because he knew deep down this is who his parents always were. Again, it happened slowly and was a gradual process. I can't write down the whole story because it would take so many hours for you to read. I just have to explain where the situation is now, and all of you who understand how narcs operate will get it. My husband's mother and his ex-wife, after 10 years of being sworn enemies and verbally assassinating each other at every opportunity, are now best buddies. My husband's children, after spending most of their childhood being told their grandmother was a horrible person and were not allowed to have any contact with her, are now in their 20s posting on Instagram about their wonderful Nana and how much they love hanging out with her. And John's brothers and sisters invite the kids to their homes, where they have made friends with their long-lost cousins who hadn't been seen for years. John's siblings know that John had been alienated from his children, but it seems they just don't care. Yeah, just like my brother. It's like my brother. That's why when all this, there's the one person there's going to be a reckoning with, it's that little fat motherfucker. But we got unfinished business. Me and him. They all have children of a similar age, and I'm sure they would be devastated to lose any of them. But it's absolutely fine if it happens to their brother. Yeah, because the rules don't apply to him. The worst is that John really loves his siblings and was always the one to keep in touch, call them on their birthdays, and send gifts for his nieces and nephews. From when I first met him, he always spoke lovingly about his brothers and sister. They knew that his first wife was abusive and drove him to a nervous breakdown, financially destroyed him, and alienated him from his children. But as soon as their narc elderly mother joined forces with John's ex, they acted as if the years of no contact had never happened, and everybody was just one big happy family. That is, excluding John and me. We stopped being invited to family events, being left out of things, finding out there had been a barbecue at someone's house that we weren't told about, and so on, until finally we had to accept that we weren't wanted. Now my husband has the heartbreak of 3 adult children who want nothing to do with him, and seeing on social media the happy photos of him, of them, hanging out with his parents and siblings. We have moved on with our life. We have changed the location, and we are very lucky as my husband has a good job, and we have made some really nice new friends, but the pain never ends. Can you, Ali, can you please help me answer some questions? After at least 10 years of being told that their grandmother was a terrible person and that they are forbidden to have contact with, how does his kids make sense of being told she is now a lovely lady who we all love? If you were a teenager and had been told for most of your life that your dad's mother is your enemy, how do you react when your mother announces you're going to visit Nana and Granddad today? I mean, they would have to barely be able to remember them. Money. You know, they're all living high on the hog in John's house on John's money. Okay? Just like they control my daughter. Money. Gifts. Prizes. Even as an adult. So she made them into the 3 little narcissistic pigs that they are. And John's going to have to accept that about his children. They're broken. They're toxic. All of them. And instead of John torturing himself on Instagram and Facebook, looking at them, he should block them. He should block all of them. forever. Until they come back and apologize. His children, the only ones I would give any quarter to, are his children. His brothers, they're worse than anybody, his siblings, because they know the truth. Just like my brother is worse than all of them. Is worse than all of them. He needs to cut them all out, and that's his children included. Stop torturing himself on Facebook and Instagram looking at their bullshit. If they're adults, she must have had to have sold the house by now, right? Move on with a new life. Build it up. Because I guarantee you, once he has money, the way he did, they'll come back. They'll come looking back again. And then he'll really know what pieces of garbage his wife raised. His ex-wife raised. All John's children have been to university and have good high-paying jobs. They're supposedly educated and intelligent. But they just swallow all the nonsense they are told. And believe it or not, one of his daughters is now a trained psychologist. It just blows my mind. Also, his siblings always seemed like fairly normal people to me. How do they justify the way their brother has been treated? How do they sleep at night? This is what I can't accept. I know all about narcs. I expect them to behave in evil ways. But what I didn't expect was a bunch of adults who I always got along well with and enjoyed spending time with to turn their backs on my husband for no reason. There was never any fight, never any confrontation. We just stopped hearing from them, and we all realized that John's ex and children had replaced us. There's no sympathy from anyone, no help. The reason they do that, because it's easier to take in, because it's almost like virtue signaling. Look how great we are to have a relationship. They get off on the supply of it, like my father does. Oh, the bravery to cast out this bad family member. Fuck you, you created this. Anybody who has to keep posting their life and everything they do on Instagram and Facebook are living pretty fucking empty lives. It's sad. And she's a trained psychologist. Really, who is she helping? Who is she helping? There's no sympathy from anyone, no help. Thank God for you and your subscribers, Ollie. I really understand a lot more about narcissism now and how incredibly prevalent it is. Although it is depressing, knowledge is power. I've been watching you since 2014, and it has been fantastic to see your channel grow. Our new friends know that John has children, but if anyone asks questions, we just keep it vague. What is the point of telling people we haven't seen the kids in years? They wouldn't understand and would think we must have done something wrong to cause this tragic situation. It's the injustice that kills me. John gave 20 years of his life to that woman and the children, worked to give them everything, that the kids got the best of everything, dance lessons, private tutors, music lessons, because he truly believed the marriage was all about the kids and making sure they had a good start in life. Well, they did get a good start in life and now have good jobs and successful careers, while John has been completely erased from the picture. He has lost his family of origin as well as the family he created. I have never had children of my own, which I don't regret, but as I explained earlier in my email, I went no contact with my own family of origin years ago. It could be very lonely. It has changed the way I look at life and people. These days, if somebody is my friend, that's great, and I enjoy it while it lasts, but I don't assume they will be my friend the next year or even the next week. I've seen how people can turn in a blink of an eye. I don't want to get too emotionally invested in anyone. I keep my expectations low, so if someone turns on me, I will be disappointed, but that's all. I certainly won't allow it to break me in the way my family and my husband's family broke me. Yeah, I mean, I understand that. There is nobody I can't just walk away from at this point. I walk away the first sign of bullshit. Have to. I hope you and Charlene had a fantastic time on her birthday. All us survivors need to find the fun in life to do things that we enjoy. It's possible to live a good, fulfilling life after narcissistic abuse, although I don't believe the sadness will ever go away. Thank you, Sally. No, I don't think it will. What your husband needs to do, he needs to cut it all out. Okay? He needs to cut out all memories of the parental alienation. Stop torturing himself by looking at their shit on Facebook and Instagram, because that's why they're doing it. They're doing it to torture him. And they'll know if they're blocked by him, because he won't show up. They won't be able to see anything he's doing. Don't think they're not checking. He needs to just live his life. And that's somebody who's going through it right now. Okay? It's not going to change. They've been bought off. Doesn't matter that they have money, that they have high-paying job. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They can't cut that umbilical cord. Just like my brother can't cut the umbilical cord. Just like your husband's siblings can't cut the fucking umbilical cord from the narcissist. They never could. They'll do whatever the fucking narcissist tells them to do. It doesn't matter if they say one thing today and the complete opposite tomorrow. It's the umbilical cord. It don't matter that my brother moved to fucking Denver, okay, to get away. He's got a 3,000 fucking mile umbilical cord to them in fucking New Jersey. And all they got to do is twist that umbilical cord and they come running back to the womb. That's what John's mother did to the siblings. That's what his ex-wife did to the children. They keep an umbilical cord that they will not cut. They will not cut it. That's what controls them. That's why it's so confusing. So you can think they're fucking independent from the narcissist. You think because they're living away in Denver, okay? Or you think that they're talking to you about the narcissist and they're giving you comfort and they're giving you understanding and they're giving you validation. They're not. What you're not seeing is the fucking umbilical cord attached to them. Right back to that fucking narcissist. That all the narcissist has to do is tug on that cord, and they come flying right back in. You got to stop giving them the escape route. All of them. And right now, their escape route, the way they think that they could kind of get away from their narcissist, is through Facebook, is torturing your husband. So it's got to stop. It's got to stop. The siblings, the children, all of them, they're both on 2 separate narcissistic umbilical cords. That's how they control. That's how they control the enablers. That's why they can tell you one thing one day and the complete opposite the next, because they never cut the umbilical cord from the narcissist. Period. So, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for your contribution, Sally, and your story. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help or can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you guys. Without you all, this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.